Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Truth Wanted. I'm your host, ObjectivelyDan, and this is the live call-in show where we talk about what people believe and why. Every single week, I have a special guest joining me, and my special guest joining me tonight is a local. We brought someone in from the team. It's Puck, ladies and gentlemen. Puck,
Hello.
welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Yeah, the house is stacked tonight because Puck is actually a volunteer here with us at the Atheist Community of Austin. If you have called into this show before, you might have heard his voice. He has done call screening and he does all kinds of stuff for us behind the scenes. And we wanted to bring him on as a guest. So welcome, Puck.
Thank you. Oh, you know what? There is the first thing that I wanted to talk about when I got on here was how many people are behind the scenes putting all this together, right? Mm-hmm. Like for every show that's here, there's half a dozen people who are on an hour or more before and an hour after, helping put good content up on the air.
Yeah, in case you're listening to this for the first time, this show is a production of the Atheist Community of Austin, and some other shows included here in our production are Talk Heathen and Atheist Experience, Secular Sexuality, lots of fun stuff. And in order to get those out, it takes a crew. We got a lot of people working behind the scenes. You don't just see, it's not just my pretty face that's doing it every week. It's a lot of people that are making the sausage, as it were. And Puck is one of those people.
Yeah, it's been what? Let's see, I started just a couple of months ago. And in that couple of months, I just grew to realize how much work is being done and how much work still needs to be done to make it the entire job of the crew is to make it look like they don't exist, right? Like if all the tech goes correctly and all the modding goes correctly, then you don't even know that they're there. But it's because they are working as hard as they are that the show goes as well as it does.
Yeah, absolutely. And in case any of you guys are interested in wondering how you can help out with the Atheist Community of Austin, maybe you can't donate or, you have some free time or something. We are always looking for volunteers. We're looking for all kinds of different people with different skill sets. So if you have something to offer, feel free to contact us. You can go to the Truth Wanted fan group page. And you can message some of our mods in the chat if you're watching this live. But we're always looking for more people. So we just thought we'd, let that out there for people who are interested, because that's what Puck did. Puck just came aboard one day and he's been hanging out with us ever since. So I just want to say we really appreciate all the stuff you do, Puck. I'm really glad we get to talk to you tonight. So
thank you. It's good to be here. Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, I just saw a message that someone had posted in one of the fan groups saying, "Hey, we're looking for call screeners," and wow, and that is the tip of the iceberg. Like if you have technical skills, if you have writing skills, and it doesn't need to be a ridiculous amount of time, just if you have any time at all to donate and you want to help us out, there's an email right there. Go ahead and hit us up. We can find something that matches your skill set.
Yeah. It's all fun. It's a lot of fun doing this show and just making cool stuff happen. But Puck, you also do some other stuff outside of the ACA. You like to stream. You like to normalize Twitch.
I do. Right? For those who don't know, Twitch is a live streaming platform that historically has been known for video gaming, but in the past couple of years has really been picking up on other types of content like art or chess or just talk shows. And it is a place where I would say that the atheist community is not adequately represented yet. We have a few people who stream on there, some names that you'd probably recognize, but not nearly enough. Not the kind of thing that you'd find on YouTube.
Yeah. And folks, I just want to remind you, this is a live call-in show. So if you're watching live, we got some open calls here, open lines, I should say, ready to take your calls with me and Puck here. And Puck has been ready to do this for a while.
I have.
Yeah. So what's that experience been like? Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah. When it was a little nerve-wracking for me, like asking to volunteer for, this seemingly well-oiled organization. And it's run really well and really intelligently, but there's so much work to do and there's not enough hands to do it. Mm-hmm. And we're talking like it could be simple stuff like having someone be in charge of contacting people on the outside for various reasons, fundraisers, what have you. It could be people helping us with tech. It could be people helping us with some writing. There is so much that needs to be done and not enough hands. So if you have any hands at all that can help, please do.
Yes, please do. Please do. But
Hmm.
if you're watching this for the first time, you're probably wondering, what do we do? We like to talk about what people believe and why. We bring in a lot of skeptics on this show, and Puck is no exception. Actually, we were talking because we were originally going to have a caller call in tonight, and hopefully they'll call in a little bit, but they actually sent a video of, I guess, what do you call it? It's like, it's not a, she said it was a possession, but really what it was two dudes with their hands on a shot glass, and they were moving the shot glass around, and then the shot glass kind of like shot off the table. It was kind of strange.
Yeah, and this is why I wanted to do this show, because I love stuff like this. And I love, like, a couple years ago, a friend of mine was telling me about someone who posted a video on YouTube claiming that he could control the wind and could control how plants go. And I love that stuff. If anybody in chat right now or anybody listening anywhere else has a call about claims of supernatural powers, let's hear them, especially if they're testable claims, because by gum, I want to put them to work. When I saw that video of the gentleman moving the shot glasses, I immediately said, you know what? I bet I could duplicate these results without having to appeal to the supernatural.
Yeah.
And I did.
Yeah, Puck sent me this video last night of him, like, with his own shot glass, like, putting his fingers on it, and is like, look, if you apply the force down on top of the glass, you can make the same effect happen. I'm like, Puck, this isn't for a grade, man. Like, you don't have to, this is like a lot of extra credit you're putting into this video. But
no, and it is worth the effort, because a lot of people believe a lot of things, and for not really the best reasons.
Yeah.
And I'm often curious as to why they do, and that's why I want to be on here. Let's start challenging these beliefs. The other side of that is, if there's something to them, I want to know, right? If you actually can manipulate plant growth somehow other than, the typical things, light, soil, nutrients, if that can be done, let's find out about it. And this could be a wonderful place to get this started right here.
So before you were getting volunteering with Truth Wanted and doing stuff with the ACA, like, what were you doing? Were you doing other kinds of skeptic stuff? Were you involved in those communities? Like, how'd you end up here?
Okay, so I had been an out atheist for about 5 years. But I didn't really start getting serious about the arguments until I had moved to Ohio, and I met my very first ever young earth creationists. Like, until then, I didn't know they actually existed. I thought they were just kind of like an urban legend. People say, I didn't know people actually actively believe this, and this is at the time I did not know that about 20 miles that way is the Creation Museum. I live that close. But I didn't know that there were people who actually believe this. And this made me start looking it up, right? It's like they give me these so-called scientific claims, and it doesn't take very long to figure out, wait a second, that's based on faulty evidence, or that's based on faulty premises. And that just got me super interested, right? It's like, let's actually look into what debunks this stuff.
Yeah, that's so funny that you never met one, because I grew up in Central Texas, and I think like 1/3 of every person I met was probably a young earth creationist. Like, it's just so common out there. But like, also, I didn't understand that it was like a sort of cogent belief system, I guess. Like, I didn't know there was like a label for it. Yeah. I just kind of thought that, some Christians kind of thought this and some Christians kind of thought that. I didn't realize there were like ideological camps. Yeah. And like, yeah.
It's so robust, right? And now it falls apart with a little bit of directed scrutiny if you're trying to actually figure out where the evidence leads instead of trying to lead the evidence. It's like flat earth stuff, right? If you actually do a little bit of investigation, and if you know a little bit of trigonometry and can get 10 miles from where you are, you too can measure the curve of the earth. But there is, and that's part of what makes it convincing, is that there's this whole body around it, and people who seem to be authority figures, they'll young earth creationists will actually quote doctors and PhDs and people who are high up in their field and say, look, this professional agrees with me, therefore there is reason to believe what I believe. Well, let's take a better look at that.
or they'll get people with these credentials to work for their organizations and stuff. And I remember because like I hung out with a lot of college kids at Baylor, and one of them like knew someone or I went to some summer program they had at like the Creation Institute, and like he worked underneath this guy who had like a PhD, I think in like molecular biology or something. And so it's like it's weird because you don't think of people who believe that kind of stuff to be as accredited, but like there are some that do exist. It's just they are the way minority, right?
Right. And then they give, this is my favorite, mainstream science is blocking looking into these fields and even suggesting that you would believe in supernatural or the young earth. No, the reason they're blocking it is because it's wrong, right? Like if something is wrong, yeah, it should be blocked. If you have something that's supernatural and you can actually start showing it and demonstrating it, let's see it. And this is a good time to start. Whoever's watching this show right now, whoever's listening on Discord or YouTube, let's get in here. You got a prime target. I'm a newbie. I'm completely soft. All right. So if you
is ready, he's ready.
Claim, let's have it. Let's see. Let's stump the puck. Let's do this.
I love stump the puck. Oh, that's funny. Yeah, like I think because like if you talk to the average person about like carbon dating, like that's like. I haven't seen a carbon dating experiment happen in action. I've never seen that process. I've only had it described to me. Like there's a lot to the scientific, the methodologies that they use to discover the information that they have that most people aren't privy to. And like, I think if you don't have that experience, or even if you don't have those explanations, it's hard to understand why you can trust an expert or so-called authority on these subjects, because you don't know how they're getting this information.
Yeah, no, and I can understand that. Like when I read about some deep science or deep math stuff, I don't just automatically believe it. It's like, here's how they say that RNA became self-replicating. Okay. But the reason I tend to believe it is because if I actually genuinely wanted to do the independent legwork on my own, and learn what is necessary to get to the point where I can understand what they're talking about, that path is there. If I want to start understanding astrophysics, I can start learning and I can get to that same place. If I want to start learning geology, to start learning about prehistory, I can do that by following the footsteps of people. The same thing does not seem to apply for spirituality and spiritual and religious claims. I can't get there the same way, so I'm waiting for someone to actually come in here and say, hey, Puck, this is what you're missing. Let's hear it.
But Puck, your view is based on scientism. You believe in philosophical naturalism, Puck.
Okay.
You can't prove miracles with philosophical naturalism.
Let's go. Oh, I love this. Let's go get instead of getting challenged from the calls, I'm getting challenged by the host. This is awesome. Okay. I am not going to start thinking about something or start attributing something until it's demonstrated that it's there, right? Now, this is not necessarily the best way to do it. I get that, because radiation had existed long before we were able to detect radiation, right? But I would also go so far as to say that if somebody started talking about radiation 500 years ago, yeah, you know what? I probably would have thought that was a big leap. Now, eventually we did find out. We started to be able to detect it and manipulate it. And now there's a microwave in just about every home, right? Get us to that point. And it's probably going to take someone, yeah, I get it, sticking their nose out and saying, hey, I think I got something. But if you're going to have that, then the next step is you got to sell it, right? And you're going to have to talk to us in a way that people can understand and try to get us to believe what you want us to believe. Selling it is probably just as important as having the right idea.
Yeah. I think that's true, because like the germ theory of disease, which is so common to us now, was like a brand new thing at one point. It's like, it was several people that kind of talked about it, but the history of that is kind of strange if you think about it. If you're the first person to kind of figure this out, and you're trying to tell people like, yeah, there's actually these tiny creatures that live all around us, and they cause, these diseases. Actually, I think we had an understanding that germs were a thing before we understood that they cause diseases, I guess. But like every new bit of information that we learn about the world is going to be strange until we can kind of demonstrate its validity. Before we continue this conversation, I just want to remind people, folks, this is a live call-in show. we can't do this show without callers. We got an open line right now. We'd love to talk to you. This is Truth Wanted. You know, well, Puck and I will talk all the time we want, I guess.
There's
but
plenty of space to talk. So
we want to talk to you.
Yeah.
Please come call the show. If you're an atheist, if you're a Christian, if you got something on your mind, please just let us know. Let us help you. Or if you just need to rant about something, we'll hear you out. So anyway, yeah, like it is until you know, something is demonstrated to us in a way that we can understand. Sometimes it's hard to kind of wrap our heads around it. Like when people talk about how black holes work, you know, or dark matter. Like I've taken an astronomy course like once in college, and that was honestly really difficult. A lot of math in that. I remember having to calculate like stellar parallax and also like a luminosity of stars and just based on like their distance and stuff. It was a lot of hard work.
Yeah.
And it's very like insular work. It's very, you know, focused on one topic. And if you don't have all the nuances that come with that topic and you're trying to tell somebody who has no idea how that field works, it does kind of sound like crazy nonsense. Like, how do we know the distance between us and the sun? We've never put a yardstick to that.
No,
you know?
yeah, man, I agree. Like, this is one place. This is when I was talking about you got to sell it. And this is, even if it's completely true, and you say the sun is about 93 million miles away, you have to still be able to be convincing about that, right?
Yeah,
and
yeah.
even if you have the truth, it sounds completely crazy. Like there's some upper math stuff up there, with, like, especially in like topology and four-dimensional geometry. It sounds like it's completely made up. No, there's a way to get there. But you got to be a good and that's why good science educators are really important. Not
Puck,
just
how do you know the wool's not being pulled over your eyes? Because you're not doing that math, Puck.
I don't. And so if I watch a video like on there's a number of great channels out there, like 3 Blue 1 Brown, or of course now I have to come up with it. I don't remember the names. When they start talking about this stuff, it seems completely out there, but they also leave a trail of breadcrumbs. They say, okay, this is the outrageous claim. Here's how we got to it. Here's some other cool things that you can do to learn more about this. And that's what separates these outrageous claims from the more really out there outrageous claims, is because there's a trail that you can follow to get that understanding, even if you don't have it now.
Speaking of, yeah. Oh no, I was just gonna say, I've been watching TikTok this week because you're talking about like claims and people making content out there. There is a lot of nonsense on TikTok. I saw a TikTok, I think today or yesterday, and I'm thinking about making a TikTok so I can respond to stuff. Honestly, this guy was like, he made the claim, and this had like a lot of likes. I can't remember, but it was like at least, I think it was like 50,000 likes. He said, you chose your parents. And he says, you know, before you were incarnate, there was a council and you got to see a little bit of what your parents would be like. Not all of it, because that would ruin it. That's the words he used. I don't know what that means. And he said, you pick your parents before you were born.
This is not the first time I've heard that. There's a number of religious belief systems that actually include something about a pre-existence where you are shown what you are going to experience, and then you decide. It's like, all right, send me down there, G. I like the idea that it's just a vote by committee thing. Like there's just a committee that's there that handles these requests of people being born. I don't like what's going on. That some things will just have to remain a mystery, I suppose. But yeah, that's the first thing. Like when anybody makes a claim about a pre-existence or post-existence, it's like, how do you know? It's like, how did you figure that out? And the weird thing is, in some cases, there's actually some kind of logical process going on. But until you do a little bit more groundwork and research, it's like, I don't know that you're going to get me to even the idea that some part of us persists after death. Yeah, and just when I say that, I know I'm going to get a call about energy. So
I know that I had a conversation with some people at my work this week, actually, because they know that I'm not a Christian and stuff. But they made a comment to me. We were talking about religion for some reason. I don't know why. I never bring it up, but I think they're just curious because I'm just like the only atheist they know. And they said something along the lines of like, we'll figure it out when we die. you know, like, and I was just like, I in that moment was like not in a great mood, I guess, because I said something to the effect of, well, I don't think I'm gonna have any beliefs after I'm dead because I'll be dead, so I don't think that's true either. And it got really quiet, awkward for like a few seconds, and then I think we moved on to another topic. But it was just like, you never want to be that guy that's like, nah, it's not gonna happen. But that's who I was in that moment. So yeah.
And that's how it was. Like the young Earth creationists that I talked about that I met a few years ago, they were coworkers, and it was just like super interesting. And we actually got to be really good friends. I don't think I ever convinced them about the validity of their claims, but it's interesting that sometimes those conversations can lead to like really solid friendships. And let this be a good message coming from us, the skeptics, that we like you. You guys are good people. We just don't necessarily agree on some of these more outrageous things.
You say I can't speak for all of them. I don't know if they're all good people, Puck, but I think a lot of them are. I think that's true. But
so
anyway,
let's not go into this with a chip on our shoulder. Let's go into this as friends and talk,
smiling and just it's all good. It's a good start. So we finally got some calls. So thank you guys for calling in. So we're gonna go ahead and get to some of those calls. But first, we have to thank our patron of the week. Every single week, we give a shout out to the person who has decided to donate to us on Patreon, and the patron of the week this week is it's coming. It's about to come on the screen any second now. It's about to come on the screen. It's not on the screen yet, but it's Paul Sherman. Paul Sherman, thank you so much. It's I think that's a shame, like P Sherman 42 Wallaby Way, Sydney, like the guy from Finding Nemo. I think that's the guy who donated to us. But thank you, Paul, and thank you guys who donate on Patreon. If you'd like to contribute as well, you can do that on patreon.com/truthwanted. All of the money goes to making this show better. It pays for getting equipment and making other fun stuff happen behind the scenes. So thank you to everyone who donates on Patreon. Puck, are you ready to get to some calls?
Let's do this. A couple of them look really interesting, so let's see what we got.